Hello, I'm Joe Paiva, and this is the legal aspects of principles of boundary surveying or real property law, and this is the introduction to the course. I have many names because of the various ways across the country that this particular course might be named. For simplicity, we will refer to it as boundaries in these video lectures, but remember, it is the law of boundaries. So this is an important thing to remember, which is why it is sometimes called real property law. It's really not real property law, because real property law is what they teach in law school. What we learn as surveyors is the aspects of the law pertaining to boundaries, which are often used in relation to real property or land that's owned by people or companies. So the purpose of this course is to give you principles to apply when locating real estate is required. The main thing to remember here is this is not an engineering science. So if you've taken any kind of engineering course or even a math course, this particular topic doesn't always fall into a 2 + 2 = 4 situation. Property boundary location is really as much an art on informed principles of property law as it is science. So you can say that there's some science involved and definitely an art similar to the art that lawyers practice, but actual math, yes, it can come into play many times when you're retracing or following an earlier survey, but it is not straightforward when it comes to most of the principles that we will cover. All right, the organization of this course, first of all, of course, you know it's online. Video lectures are posted every week. There are discussions that will be posted, and most of the time you will be asked to participate, which means that they will be graded. There's a grade assigned to the quality of what you contribute. And you generally, when you have a discussion, you're also asked to comment on at least one other person's comment. Homework can be different kinds, simple identifications, research that you may need to do, one or more major projects. When it comes to things like homeworks and so forth, generally you'll be doing these either using the computer or you might do them longhand. If you do them longhand, you need to make sure that they're dark enough to scan well and that the instructor can read them, that the pages are not upside down or sideways, because if they are, they will simply not be graded and you will have to suffer the consequences. It's a common practice for students for the expectation that students will upload documents to be graded and then check them to make sure that they actually are readable by someone other than themselves. So that means your handwriting is illegible, you better be printing. You're using a pencil, it doesn't scan well, maybe you should switch to a dark ink pen and so forth. The other thing is that there are chapters near the end of the textbook on professional practice and ethics and the role of the surveyor, and we have you read these near the beginning because these aspects will be factored into many lectures as well as discussions during the term, and you'll be expected to draw some of that information that you have learned and read into the discussions and into your understanding of the material in the course. There will also be online class meetings, meaning video calls or something like that, as needed or scheduled. Look at the syllabus to figure that out. Method of instruction, you will have to read a lot. There's no two ways about it. You will have to read the entire textbook and any other supplemental readings and other textbook materials that you might be asked to read. You will also have to watch the video lectures. You can expect to read much, if not all, of the textbook and other assigned readings cover to cover. We will skip over some questions, but if you are taking this course because you plan on becoming licensed as a land surveyor, there's some point where you'll have to go back and read this entire book cover to cover. There will also be some material during this course that relates to issues concerning state real property law and surveying rules and regulations, so be aware of that. There is a syllabus. The syllabus shows what you are supposed to be reading. Discussion topics will be posted as needed. You are expected to contribute to a post, as I said, to the main topic. You may also get assigned an individual topic that you are expected to post about. There will be assignments or projects. Some of these may require you to collaborate with fellow students. You may have to go do some research on the internet, at a library, and so forth, public office, and you may be asked to write about something you've never heard of, and you may never hear about after this course is over. Don't be surprised. Minimum of 2 timed open book exams. You download these, you work these out, and then you upload them back into the system so that they can be graded. You can expect regular quizzes, but I say quizzes with air quotes because they will be sometimes timed, and sometimes they will be where you have to either download something or create your own document to answer the quiz. And they can be on the readings, they can be on the videos, they can be on a combination of the two, or anything else that happens in the class that you would be responsible for, such as a video meeting call and so forth. There will be no extra credit, meaning you are not doing so well, you haven't been keeping up with the work, and you get near the end of the semester and you realize that your grade doesn't look all that good. Don't call the instructor and ask for extra work to bulk up your grade. There will be no such thing. If there is extra credit, it will be given offered to everybody to take advantage of. They will never be specialized side deals. You should also be aware that the college has its own regulations. You should be aware that the college is able to help in certain situations. You start the semester and something goes haywire with family or with the work situation, and you really made a mistake signing up for this class. Contact the college immediately. There may be ways to, first of all, drop the class. Second of all, get a full or partial refund of your tuition. Instructor may not always know this because we are all adjuncts, but there will be information on how to contact the college. You will not be reminded that there are ways to get out of difficult situations when it comes to dealing with the administration. The teaching philosophy in terms of how this class is offered is that we do want you to succeed, but this means you have to do the work. So there's no automatic A or automatic pass. There's only an automatic D or F if you slack off. This course will require your diligence. You may have to study harder than you have ever studied before. Previous college courses in surveying may or may not help you. Read the syllabus carefully. Ask questions. You can ask them in the discussions. You can ask them when there are online video calls. You can send emails to the instructor. Your time commitment is a big one. Make sure that you're scheduling time every week to work on this class. If you can't commit to all this, it is time to reconsider the course now and re-enroll when you do have the time. Expect to commit 6 to 10 hours a week for this 15-week course. It's a 3-credit-hour course. That's an average, so there may be some weeks, for example, when you have an exam and so forth, where it may be more, and there could be some weeks where it's less. Ask good questions on the discussions in online or video meetings. Contribute good comments. This gets you noticed and more likely to get an improved grade for those kinds of discussions. When the forum doesn't do the trick and you have questions, email the instructor. Consider email as official correspondence, meaning it needs to use professional language. Do not phone or text except when the instructor says you can contact me, or when you have a dire emergency like when you have died. Obviously, I'm being a little humorous here. You couldn't contact me if you had died, but it needs to be a dire situation. And I've had some of those. I had a student calling me one time from a car that was on its side after sliding off the road on an icy winter highway. Anything you submit, meaning exams, homework assignments, and so forth, that you're scanning and then uploading, has to have your name on it. Then there's a file, when there's a file, name the file appropriately so the instructor can figure out who it is and what it is they're submitting. So things like the course number should be in the file name. Your name, last name, and first initial. Unless there's a lot of Joneses, then you might want to put in more than even the first initial, and then the name of the assignment and probably the date. You know, these things are common sense. Professional emails should have certain elements such as a short descriptive subject line. Pretty much you send an email with nothing in the subject line, you might get a reply saying, send me a professional email. A salutation, dear whatever, dear whoever, a complete inquiry in the body of the message, your full name, course and section number, use full sentences, correct grammar and spelling. So here's some bad writing examples. Hey, Mr. X, due date, that's the entire content of an email. And I do get them. And I immediately send them back with professional response required. Can I have another day? That's still bad writing. You need to have a little bit of explanation. Can't assume that you're going to get that extra day. I'm sick. Even that is kind of weak. You could at least say, I've got the flu. A doctor says I should be able to be back at work at such and such. I think I'll feel better in so many days, that kind of thing. Summary. You must be self-disciplined and self-motivated. Tell me about issues that are affecting your performance privately by email, or seek permission to talk on the phone. Be sure to keep up with the reading, watching lectures and other videos, and completing your assignments in a timely fashion. You may have noticed that there's been a lot of repetition of some of these terms, some of these needs, some of these things that you're supposed to do. This isn't going to happen during the rest of the semester. I'm doing it as an introduction because we often get people taking this class who might not have taken a college online course. Have your text and other materials with you right away, meaning get this stuff and have it because you're expected to do the reading and keep up with it. You need to have a computer. You need to have access to the internet. You need to have a scanner and a printer. These are all requirements. If you have questions on the LMS, that's the Learning Management System, or the email system, and you're not getting the answers by contacting the appropriate people at the college who can help you, then let the instructor know. So, final suggestion, optional books to consider to help you make sure you know your vocabulary. The exams, NCEES and your state-specific exam, will often have lots of identifications that you're required to make. You may have words that you use at work if you work for a surveying company that you kind of use without actually having ever gotten a definition. As an aspiring licensed land surveyor, you're supposed to know more than what you have learned at work in many cases. So I have a couple of ideas that you might want to consider. One of them is called Black's Law Dictionary. And Black's Law Dictionary is actually a humongous book. This particular one is called the Pocket Edition. And the Pocket Edition is such that you can look up lots of things right in the book. Doesn't have a whole lot with each definition, but there's enough that if you run into a legal term, you can look it up and you will know what it is. And this is a good thing because there are many legal terms in many of the documents that you will be reading. So this is one. The other one is called The Definitions of Surveying and Related Terms. So this one, and I've listed them both on the board here, is published by the National Society of Professional Surveyors, or NSPS. So be sure to at least consider these. If you work in a surveying office, you may be able to find them in the bookshelf at the office, or ask them why they don't have these books. Actually, a surveyor's office should have the unabridged edition, which is a big hardcover book, cover book that's probably good 4 inches thick, maybe more. And the cool thing about the hardcover book, if you have both, you can compare the pocket edition and the hardcover book, is that you will have references to court cases and things like that in that version. So that completes the introduction, and I wish you much success in this course.